You're now listening to Crash Into Love.
Are you blind?
Kindly state in the comment section what part of the continent you're watching from. Let's connect. Story synopsis. Maya Tanaka's revolutionary electric car prototype has one tiny problem: the brakes don't work. When she crashes into Dante Rossini's vintage Maserati, she thinks he's just another spoiled rich boy destroying the planet with his gas-guzzling toys. He thinks she's a reckless inventor who nearly killed him, but when they both show up at the same environmental summit the next day, everything changes. Dante isn't the entitled heir she assumed. He's an environmental activist secretly trying to convert his family's luxury car empire to sustainable vehicles. And Maya's battery technology could be the key to making his vision reality. Their enemies to lovers romance ignites as fast as her prototype accelerates, but when corporate enemies try to steal her patents and the media questions her motives, Maya begins to doubt everything, including whether a small-town inventor and a billionaire's son could ever really work. Can Dante prove their love is real before Maya loses everything she's worked for? And can two people from different worlds build a future together while revolutionizing the automotive industry? Kindly like, subscribe and push the notification bell for more interesting stories like this. The steering wheel jerks violently in my hands as my prototype lurches forward like a wild animal breaking free from its cage. This is not happening. Not now. Not when I'm this close. Come on, baby, work with me, I whisper, pumping the brake pedal frantically. Nothing. The regenerative braking system that took me 18 months to perfect chooses this exact moment to fail spectacularly. San Francisco's steep hills have never looked more terrifying. My little electric beast, barely more than a glorified go-kart with dreams of grandeur, accelerates down Powell Street like it's auditioning for a Fast and Furious movie. Except this isn't Hollywood, and I'm about to become a very real, very broke pancake. The morning sun glints off something impossibly sleek and red ahead. My heart stops. A vintage car sits at the intersection, its curves so perfect they belong in a museum, not on a public street where reckless inventors can crash into them. No, 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 and no. I yank the wheel hard to the right, but physics and gravity have other plans. The prototype's lightweight frame skids across the asphalt with a sound like the world's angriest cheese grater. Metal screams against metal as we collide, my life's work meeting what looks like several years of my salary wrapped in Italian engineering. Steam hisses from my radiator. Or maybe that's from the other car. Or maybe it's just my dreams evaporating. The silence that follows is deafening. I sit frozen in my driver's seat, hands still gripping the wheel, trying to process what just happened. Through my cracked windshield, I can see the pristine red paint job now decorated with a lovely Maya-shaped dent. A car door slams. Hard. Madonna Mia. What the hell were you thinking? I look up to see 6 feet of furious Italian striding toward my car. Dark hair, darker eyes, and an expression that could melt steel. He's wearing a perfectly tailored suit that probably costs more than my rent, and he looks like he wants to murder me with his bare hands. I push open my door, which thankfully still works, and climb out on shaking legs. I'm so sorry, sorry? His accent makes the word sound like a curse. You nearly killed me with that. That. He gestures wildly at my prototype. What is that thing? The dismissive tone in his voice flips a switch inside me. All the fear and adrenaline transform into something much more dangerous, indignation. That thing is the future, I snap, walking around to survey the damage. My poor prototype looks like it went 10 rounds with a heavyweight boxer. And it's worth more than your precious status symbol. Status symbol? His eyebrows shoot up. This is a 1969 Maserati Ghibli. There are only available to people with more money than sense, I interrupt. Do you have any idea what the carbon footprint of that gas-guzzling dinosaur is? He stares at me like I've grown a second head. Carbon footprint? You just crashed into me. Because my brakes failed. It's not like I aimed for you specifically, although given what you're driving, maybe I should have. The words are out before I can stop them. He takes a step closer, and I catch a whiff of his cologne, something expensive and annoyingly appealing. Up close, he's even more devastating. Sharp cheekbones, full lips that are currently pressed into a hard line, and those eyes. Focus, Maya. He's the enemy. Rich, entitled, and probably never worked a real day in his life. Let me get this straight, he says slowly, his voice dropping to a dangerously quiet level. You destroy my car with your little science project, and somehow I'm the villain? Your car is a relic that belongs in a museum, not poisoning our air on city streets. And your car belongs in a junkyard, apparently, since it can't even stop properly. I feel my cheeks burn. This is a prototype. The first of its kind. It has a revolutionary battery system that could change everything. Could change everything into scrap metal, clearly. We're standing toe-to-toe now, both of us breathing hard. He's tall enough that I have to tilt my head back to glare at him properly, which only makes me angrier. I refuse to be intimidated by some spoiled rich boy, no matter how good he smells or how his eyes seem to spark with golden flecks when he's furious. You know what your problem is? I poke him in the chest with my index finger. His very solid, very warm chest. You people think you can just cruise around in your overpriced toys, burning fossil fuels like the planet is your personal playground. He catches my hand, his fingers wrapping around my wrist. You people? And what people am I, exactly? The contact sends an unwelcome jolt of electricity up my arm. Rich. Entitled. Completely disconnected from reality. Something flickers across his face, hurt, maybe, before the mask of anger slides back into place. You don't know anything about me. I know enough. Designer suit, vintage luxury car, attitude like the world owes you something. Let me guess, trust fund baby who's never had to work for anything in his life. He drops my hand like it's on fire. And you're just another self-righteous idealist who thinks passion can substitute for competence. That hits deeper than it should. Competence? I built this car from scratch. Every circuit, every line of code, every brake that doesn't work. The words hang in the air between us like a slap. I feel tears prick at my eyes and hate myself for it. I won't cry in front of this arrogant jackass. I won't give him the satisfaction. Maya Tanaka, right? I spin around to see a police officer approaching, clipboard in hand. Of course. Because this day needed to get worse. That's me, I say, trying to sound more composed than I feel. And you are? The officer looks at Mr. Perfect, Dante Rossini. He pulls out his license with the practiced ease of someone who's used to these situations. This woman's vehicle malfunctioned and struck my car. Dante Rossini. Even his name sounds expensive. The next hour passes in a blur of incident reports, insurance information, and pointed questions about vehicle safety protocols. Dante handles everything with calm efficiency, making me feel even more like the reckless amateur he clearly thinks I am. Your car will need to be towed, the officer tells me, glancing at my prototype with barely concealed skepticism. Is it street legal? It's registered for testing, I say quickly. All the permits are in order. Dante snorts. Clearly those permits don't cover functioning brakes. I whip around to face him. You know what? I'm glad I hit your car. At least now it might be off the road long enough for you to consider something that doesn't require a tanker truck to fill up. And I'm sure this experience will teach you the value of testing your inventions somewhere other than public streets. We glare at each other while the tow truck loads up both our vehicles. His Maserati looks wounded but dignified, like an injured prince. My prototype looks like it lost a fight with a blender. This isn't over, I mutter as I watch 18 months of my life disappear onto the back of a truck. No, Dante says quietly, pulling out his phone to call what I assume is his fourth backup car. It's not. There's something in his voice that makes me look at him sharply, but he's already turning away, speaking rapid Italian to whoever answered his call. I stand on the sidewalk as he climbs into a sleek black sedan that appears within minutes, because of course it does. Through the tinted window, I catch his eyes one more time. The anger is still there, but underneath it, there's something else. Something that looks almost like curiosity. Then he's gone, leaving me alone with the bitter taste of defeat and the lingering scent of his cologne. That night, I sit in my tiny apartment with my laptop, ice pack pressed to my shoulder where the seatbelt caught me. The repair estimates are already in my email, both for his car and mine. The numbers make me nauseous. But it's not the money that has me staring at the ceiling at 2 a.m. It's the way he said my name when I told him what my prototype could do. Like he was actually listening instead of just waiting for his turn to talk. And it's the way he looked at me in those last seconds, like he was trying to figure out a puzzle. I pull up Google and type in his name before I can talk myself out of it. Dante Rossini. The search results make my stomach drop. Rossini Motors. One of Italy's premier luxury car manufacturers. Classic Ferraris, limited edition Lamborghinis, cars that cost more than houses. And there he is in photo after photo, at car shows, charity galas, looking devastatingly handsome in expensive suits. But it's the last result that makes my blood run cold. Rossini Motors heir to attend San Francisco Environmental Summit tomorrow. Tomorrow. The same summit where I'm supposed to present my battery technology to potential investors. The same summit that represents my one shot at getting the funding I need to turn my prototype into reality. I scroll through the article, feeling sicker with every word. He's not just attending, he's one of the keynote speakers. Dante Rossini, talking about the future of sustainable transportation. Oh, hell no. I slam the laptop shut and bury my face in my hands. Of all the vintage cars in all of San Francisco, I had to crash into his. Tomorrow is supposed to be my moment, the day I prove that Maya Tanaka, small-town girl with big dreams, can change the world. The day I show everyone that I don't need a trust fund or a famous last name to make a difference. But now he'll be there. Watching. Probably waiting for me to fail so spectacularly that it'll make today's crash look like a minor fender bender. I look out my window at the city lights and make a promise to myself. Whatever happens tomorrow, I won't let Dante Rossini intimidate me. I won't let him make me feel small or incompetent or like I don't belong in that room. I've spent too long fighting to get here to let some arrogant billionaire's opinion matter. Even if he does have the most incredible eyes I've ever seen. Even if the way he said competence made something flutter dangerously in my chest. Even if I can't stop thinking about the moment his fingers closed around my wrist and how my entire body seemed to wake up at his touch. None of that matters. Tomorrow, I'm going to walk into that summit and show everyone, including Dante Rossini, exactly what I'm capable of. The future of transportation is electric, sustainable, and brilliant, and it's mine to claim. The grand ballroom of the Fairmont Hotel has never looked more intimidating. Crystal chandeliers cast everything in golden light, making the sea of suits and cocktail dresses shimmer like some exclusive dream I'm not supposed to be part of. My hands shake as I adjust my presentation clicker for the 100th time. You've got this, Maya, I whisper to myself, checking my reflection in the black screen of my laptop. The navy blazer is borrowed from my roommate, the heels are killing my feet, and I feel like I'm wearing a costume. But the presentation loaded on my computer? That's all me. 18 months of 16-hour days, ramen dinners, and maxed-out credit cards have led to this moment. In 20 minutes, I'll stand on that stage and show the world what the future looks like. No more gas stations. No more emissions. Just clean, powerful, beautiful transportation that doesn't cost the earth. I scan the crowd, mentally cataloging potential investors. There's Dr. Sarah Chen from Berkeley's engineering department, she's been following my work. Marcus Webb from Tech Forward Ventures, looking skeptical but interested. And there's. My blood turns to ice. Dante Rossini sits in the third row, looking like he owns the entire hotel. Which, for all I know, he probably does. The morning sun streams through the tall windows, catching the gold in his dark hair and making those impossibly dark eyes seem even more intense. He's wearing a different suit today, charcoal gray that fits him like it was painted on, and he's looking directly at me. Our eyes meet across the room, and I feel that same electric jolt from yesterday. His expression is unreadable, but there's something in his gaze that makes my pulse skip. Recognition. Challenge. And underneath it all, something that looks almost like anticipation? I force myself to look away before I do something stupid, like trip over my own feet or forget how to breathe. Ladies and gentlemen, our next presenter needs no introduction to anyone who's been following the revolution in sustainable transportation technology. My heart hammers as the moderator continues his introduction. This is it. This is everything I've worked for. Please welcome automotive engineer and innovator Maya Tanaka, presenting her groundbreaking work in electric vehicle battery systems. The applause feels distant as I walk to the stage. My legs feel like they're made of jello, but I force them to carry me forward. I set up my laptop, adjust the microphone, and look out at the audience. Dante is still watching me. There's no hostility in his expression now, just intense focus that makes me feel like I'm under a microscope. Good morning, I begin, surprised by how steady my voice sounds. How many of you drove here today? A few hands go up, followed by some chuckles. And how many of you felt good about the emissions you pumped into the air on your way to a conference about saving the planet? The laughter turns uncomfortable. Perfect. I'm Maya Tanaka, and I'm here to make sure that in 10 years, that question won't even make sense. I click to my first slide, a photo of my prototype before yesterday's unfortunate encounter with gravity and Italian engineering. This is Revolution 1. Not much to look at, I know. But what's under the hood could change everything. The words start flowing easier now. This is my element, pure science, hard data, the kind of innovation that gets my blood singing. I explain the lithium-aluminum composite matrix I developed, the charging system that can fill a battery in 12 minutes, the range that exceeds any electric vehicle currently on the market. Current electric vehicle batteries lose significant capacity in extreme temperatures. I continue, clicking to my thermal efficiency charts. My system maintains 97% efficiency in conditions ranging from -20 Fahrenheit to 120 Fahrenheit. I risk a glance at Dante. He's leaning forward now, his attention completely focused on my data. Not the kind of polite interest rich people show at charity events, genuine fascination. The manufacturing cost is 60% lower than current lithium-ion systems, and the environmental impact of production is. Excuse me, a voice interrupts from the back of the room. How do you address the reliability concerns? I understand your prototype experienced some technical difficulties recently? Heat floods my cheeks. Of course someone would know about yesterday's crash. In this industry, word travels faster than gossip at a high school reunion. I straighten my shoulders. Innovation requires risk. Every revolutionary technology goes through growing pains. The Wright brothers crashed too, but that didn't stop them from changing the world. But surely safety should be the primary concern before. I'm sorry, another voice cuts in, and my heart stops. Dante is standing, his voice carrying easily across the room. Could we let Ms. Tanaka finish her presentation before we move to questions? The room goes silent. Every head turns to look at him, then back at me. I stare at him in shock. Did he just defend me? His eyes meet mine again, and there's something in his expression that makes my chest tighten. Respect, maybe. Or challenge. Like he's saying, show them what you're made of. I take a deep breath and click to my next slide. Thank you. As I was saying, the environmental impact of production is minimal because the key components can be sourced domestically, reducing transportation emissions by. The rest of my presentation flows like water. I talk about scalability, about partnering with existing manufacturers, about a future where every car on the road runs clean. The audience is with me now. I can feel it in the way they lean forward, in the questions that get more detailed and excited. When I finish, the applause is thunderous. Real, enthusiastic applause from people who understand what I'm offering them. Thank you, I say into the microphone, my voice slightly breathless. I believe we're standing at a crossroads. We can keep doing things the way we always have, or we can choose to build something better. I know which future I'm fighting for. As I pack up my laptop, hands still shaking with adrenaline, I can't stop myself from looking for Dante in the crowd. He's still in his seat, watching me with an expression I can't read. When our eyes meet, he nods once, a small gesture that somehow feels like the highest praise I could receive. The post-presentation rush is a blur of handshakes, business cards, and excited conversations about funding possibilities. Dr. Chen wants to discuss a research partnership. Marcus Webb talks about Series A rounds and market penetration strategies. 3 different manufacturers want to set up meetings. It's everything I dreamed of and more. Impressive presentation. I turn around and nearly drop my laptop. Dante stands behind me, close enough that I can smell that same intoxicating cologne from yesterday. Up close, he's even more devastating than I remembered. The charcoal suit brings out the gold flecks in his dark eyes, and when he smiles, a real smile, not the polite society thing, it transforms his entire face. Thank you, I manage, trying to ignore the way my pulse speeds up. I wasn't expecting to see you here. Clearly. His smile turns wry. You looked like you wanted to bolt when you spotted me. Can you blame me? After yesterday. Yesterday was. He runs a hand through his hair, messing up the perfect styling. Let's call it a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding that cost us both several $1,000s in repairs, worth every penny if it led to this. He gestures toward the stage. Your technology is remarkable, Maya. Truly revolutionary. The way he says my name makes something flutter in my chest. There's no mockery now, no dismissive arrogance. Just genuine respect that makes me feel like I'm standing a little taller. You sound surprised. I am. Not by your intelligence, that was obvious yesterday, even when we were shouting at each other. But by the scope of what you've accomplished. He steps closer, lowering his voice. You really could change everything, that's the plan. I try to keep my voice steady, but being this close to him is doing strange things to my ability to think clearly. Though I have to admit, I'm curious why you're here. This doesn't exactly seem like your crowd. Something shifts in his expression. What makes you say that? Come on. Yesterday you were Mr. Vintage Luxury Cars. Today you're at an environmental summit. Unless this is some kind of greenwashing PR move for Daddy's company? The words are out before I can stop them. His jaw tightens, and I immediately regret the accusation, but instead of the anger I expect, he looks hurt. You really don't know anything about me, do you? He says quietly. I know you drive cars that belong in museums and wear suits that cost more than most people's rent. And that tells you everything you need to know about my character? There's a challenge in his voice, but also something deeper. Like he's genuinely asking, not just being rhetorical. Doesn't it? He studies my face for a long moment, then shakes his head. Have dinner with me tonight. What? The request catches me completely off guard. Dinner. You and me. Neutral territory. Why would I? Because you think you know who I am and you're wrong, and because I think I know who you are, and I have a feeling I'm wrong too. He pulls out his phone and checks the time. Besides, don't you want to know why I'm really here? I should say no. This man is dangerous, not in a scary way, but in a way that makes me forget how to breathe properly. He's everything I usually avoid, rich, powerful, probably used to getting whatever he wants. But there's something in his eyes that makes me hesitate. A vulnerability that doesn't match the expensive suit and perfect hair. One dinner, I hear myself saying. Somewhere public, his smile is like sunrise. I know just the place. 2 hours later, I'm second-guessing every decision that led me to this moment. We're at a small Italian restaurant in North Beach, the kind of place with checkered tablecloths and wine bottles used as candles. Nothing fancy, nothing that screams billionaire's son trying to impress the poor girl. Dante sits across from me, his suit jacket draped over the back of his chair, his sleeves rolled up to reveal strong forearms. He's been speaking Italian to the elderly woman who owns the restaurant, and the genuine warmth in his voice makes something twist in my chest. So, I say when we're alone with our menus, are you going to tell me why you're really at the summit? He takes a sip of wine, something red and probably expensive, though he ordered it by speaking rapidly to our server in Italian rather than picking the most costly option on the list. I'm giving the keynote tomorrow morning, he says simply. On what? The future of luxury automotive manufacturing in a sustainable world. I nearly choke on my water. You're kidding. Do I look like I'm kidding? He doesn't. In fact, he looks completely serious, which is somehow more shocking than if he'd been joking. But yesterday you acted like I was crazy for caring about emissions. Yesterday I was angry and hurt and completely caught off guard by a brilliant woman crashing into my life. He leans forward, his eyes intense. I wasn't exactly at my best. Your life? I crashed into your car. Same thing. The words are light, but there's something in his tone that makes my breath catch. Our food arrives before I can respond, handmade pasta that smells like heaven and tastes even better. We eat in comfortable silence for a few minutes, and I find myself studying him when I think he's not looking. There are calluses on his hands. Actual, honest-to-God calluses, like he works with his hands regularly. His hair is messed up from running his fingers through it, and there's a small scar on his chin that somehow makes him even more attractive. You're staring, he says without looking up from his pasta. I'm trying to figure you out. Any luck? Not really. You're not what I expected. He looks up then, and the intensity in his gaze makes my pulse skip. What did you expect? Someone who's never worked a day in his life. Someone who thinks money can solve everything. Someone who... I trail off, realizing how harsh I sound. Someone shallow, he finishes quietly. Someone who doesn't care about anything beyond his own comfort. I didn't say that. You didn't have to. He sets down his fork and leans back in his chair. My family owns Rossini Motors. We've been making luxury cars for 3 generations. Beautiful, powerful, completely unsustainable machines that rich people buy to feel special. That's what I thought, yes. And you thought I was just another spoiled heir riding on his family's reputation. Weren't you? He's quiet for so long I start to think he's not going to answer. Then he reaches into his jacket and pulls out his phone, scrolling through photos until he finds what he's looking for. This is what I've been working on for the past 2 years, he says, sliding the phone across the table. I look at the screen and my jaw drops. It's a design schematic for what looks like the most beautiful car I've ever seen. Sleek lines, elegant curves, but underneath the artistic beauty, I can see the bones of an electric drivetrain. You designed this? Every line. Every system. It's a fully electric luxury sports car that can go 0 to 60 in under 3 seconds and has a range of over 400 miles. He takes the phone back, his fingers gentle on the screen. I've been trying to convince my father to let me build it for 18 months. And he thinks I've lost my mind. The family business is tradition, legacy, the romance of internal combustion engines. Electric cars are. He switches to what I assume is Italian, his tone making it clear the words aren't complimentary. But you keep trying. I keep trying. He meets my eyes. Because someone has to bridge the gap between what luxury car buyers want and what the planet needs. Someone has to prove that sustainable doesn't mean sacrificing beauty or performance. I stare at him, feeling like the ground has shifted under my feet. That's why you're here. That's your keynote. That's my keynote. And after seeing your presentation today. He leans forward again, his eyes bright with excitement. Maya, your battery technology could change everything. Not just for regular electric vehicles, but for luxury performance cars too. You think so? I know so. The power-to-weight ratio, the thermal efficiency, the charging speed, it's exactly what I need to make my vision reality. There's something contagious about his enthusiasm. I can see it now, his elegant design paired with my revolutionary technology. Cars that don't just transport people but inspire them. Vehicles that prove sustainability and luxury aren't mutually exclusive. Your father, I say carefully. Would he be interested in licensing my technology? Dante's expression dims slightly. My father is traditional. He believes in doing things the way we've always done them. And you don't. I believe in evolution. In being better than we were yesterday. He reaches across the table, his fingers brushing mine. I believe in working with brilliant people who share the same vision. The contact sends electricity up my arm, just like yesterday. But this time, instead of anger and frustration, it's something much more dangerous. Want. Pure, simple, terrifying want. Dante. I start to say, but I'm not sure what words come next. I know this is crazy, he says, his thumb tracing across my knuckles. We met yesterday and tried to kill each other. I didn't try to kill you. My brakes failed. And now I can't stop thinking about you. He continues like I haven't spoken. About your mind, your passion, the way you light up when you talk about your work. My heart is hammering so hard I'm surprised the other diners can't hear it. We barely know each other. I know you're brilliant. I know you're brave enough to risk everything for what you believe in. I know you see the same future I do, clean, beautiful, revolutionary. His fingers tighten around mine, and I know that when you looked at me on that stage today, when you realized I was defending you, something changed. He's right. Something did change. The moment he stood up for me, the moment he showed me he saw more than just the reckless girl who crashed into his car, everything shifted. What are you suggesting? I ask, though part of me already knows. Partnership. Professional and... He trails off, his eyes searching my face. And whatever else happens naturally. The words hang in the air between us like a promise. Or maybe a threat. I should be cautious. I should remember that I've worked too hard to get where I am to risk it all on a man I just met. But when I look at him, really look at him, I don't see the spoiled rich boy I assumed he was yesterday. I see someone who understands the same things I do. Someone who wants to build something better. Someone who makes my pulse race and my brain turn to mush with just a touch. This is insane, I whisper. The best things usually are. Before I can overthink it, before common sense can intervene, I nod. Okay. Okay? Partnership. Professional collaboration. We can. See what happens. His smile could power the entire city. Really? Really. But I have conditions. Name them. Equal partners. Equal say in any decisions. And if this goes badly, if mixing business with whatever this is ruins everything, we walk away clean. Deal. He lifts his wine glass. To the future. I clink my glass against his. To the future. We're both smiling like idiots, caught up in the excitement of possibility. Of potential. Of two brilliant minds coming together to build something extraordinary. I'm so lost in the moment that I almost miss the familiar buzz of my phone. Almost. But when I glance down and see the caller ID, my blood turns to ice. I have to take this, I say, already standing. It's my lawyer. Dante nods, though I can see the concern in his eyes. I step outside, my heart hammering for entirely different reasons now. Maya, thank God. Rebecca's voice is tight with stress. We have a problem. A big one. What kind of problem? Someone's trying to steal your patents. They've filed competing claims, and they have documentation that suggests they developed your battery technology first. The world tilts sideways. That's impossible. I have years of research notes, prototypes. They have earlier timestamps, much earlier. If their claim holds up, you could lose everything. I sink against the restaurant's brick wall, my legs suddenly unable to support me. Who? Who's trying to steal my work? That's the strangest part. The filing comes through a shell company, but the legal team behind it. Maya, it's one of the most expensive patent law firms in the world. Whoever's doing this has serious money and serious connections. Through the restaurant window, I can see Dante at our table, checking his phone with a slight frown. As if he can sense my gaze, he looks up and catches my eye. Even through the glass, I can see the concern on his face. Maya? Are you there? I'm here, I whisper, but my mind is racing. This morning I had everything. A successful presentation, interested investors, and now a potential partnership with someone who could help me change the world. Now I might lose it all. What do? I ask. Fight. We gather every piece of documentation you have, every early sketch, every email about your research. We prove that your work came first. Rebecca's voice softened slightly. But Maya, this is going to be expensive. And it's going to get ugly. I close my eyes, feeling the weight of everything I've built threatening to crumble. How long do we have? The preliminary hearing is Monday. 3 days. 3 days to prove that my life's work actually belongs to me. 3 days to save everything I built. Through the window, I watch Dante stand up from our table, clearly worried. He starts toward the door, and I realize I have a choice to make. I can face this alone, the way I've faced everything else in my life. Or I can trust the man who just promised to be my partner. The man who defended me in front of a room full of strangers. The man who sees the same future I do. The restaurant door opens, and Dante steps outside, his expression dark with concern. Maya? What's wrong? I look at him, this beautiful, brilliant man who came into my life like a hurricane 24 hours ago, and make a decision that will change everything. I need help, I say, ending the call with Rebecca. Someone's trying to steal my patents, and I need the best legal team money can buy. His eyes flash with something dangerous. Protective. Done. Just like that? Just like that. He steps closer, and I can feel the warmth radiating from him. We're partners now, remember? Your fight is my fight. And looking up into his dark eyes, seeing the fierce determination there, I almost believe him. Almost. Dante's penthouse suite at the Fairmont looks like something out of a movie. Floor-to-ceiling windows offer a breathtaking view of the San Francisco Bay, while sleek modern furniture and subtle lighting create an atmosphere that screams expensive taste. But I barely notice any of it because my entire world has narrowed down to the stack of legal documents spread across his dining table and the man sitting beside me, his sleeves rolled up and his hair disheveled from running his hands through it. This is fucking ridiculous, he mutters, scanning another page of the patent filing. His accent thickens when he's angry, making even his cursing sound sophisticated. It's 3 a.m, and we've been at this for hours. Dante called his legal team the moment we got back from dinner, and within an hour, 3 of the most intimidating lawyers I've ever seen were sitting in his suite with briefcases full of documents and expressions that could cut glass. The timestamps are definitely fabricated, says Victoria Sterling, the lead attorney who looks like she could eviscerate opposing counsel with her perfectly manicured nails. But whoever did this is good. Very good. They've created a paper trail that goes back 3 years. How is that possible? I ask, rubbing my temples where a headache is building. I have lab notes, email chains, prototype photos, all of which they've somehow managed to predate with their own documentation. Victoria slides another folder across the table. Bank records showing research funding, supplier invoices for materials, even university collaboration agreements. Dante leans forward, his jaw tight. So someone's been planning this for months. At minimum. Victoria's expression is grim. This level of preparation, the quality of the forgeries, the legal team they've assembled. We're talking about someone with serious resources. I feel sick. How much will this cost to fight? Don't worry about that, Dante says immediately. I can't let you, Maya. His hand covers mine on the table, warm and steady. We're partners, remember? Besides, I have more money than I know what to do with, and you have technology that could change the world. It's not charity, it's an investment. Victoria clears her throat delicately. If I may, there's something else you should know. The shell company filing these claims? We've traced it back through several layers, and we think we know who's behind this. My blood runs cold. Who? Titan Industries. They've been buying up clean energy patents for the past 2 years, particularly in the automotive sector. Dante goes very still beside me. Titan Industries. You know them? I ask. I know of them. They're competitors, you could say. They've been trying to get into the luxury electric market, but they don't have the design expertise or the manufacturing capabilities. What they do have is money and a complete lack of ethics. Victoria nods grimly. They have a history of this kind of thing. Find promising inventors, steal their work through legal manipulation, then bury the original creators under mountains of litigation they can't afford to fight. But I can afford to fight, Dante says, his voice deadly quiet. And I will. The protective edge in his tone makes something flutter in my chest. I've been fighting my battles alone for so long that having someone in my corner feels almost surreal. The preliminary hearing is Monday, Victoria continues. We'll need to gather every piece of documentation you have, Maya. Lab notes, emails, purchase records, witness testimony, anything that can prove your work predates theirs. I have everything at my apartment, I say. 5 years of research notes, prototype photos going back to the very first sketches. Good. We'll need all of it. She starts packing up her briefcase. I'll have my team working through the weekend. Mr. Rossini, I'll need access to your company's resources, lab facilities for independent testing, expert witnesses, anything that can bolster our case. Done, Dante says without hesitation. After the lawyers leave, the suite feels eerily quiet. I slump back in my chair, emotionally drained and physically exhausted. The adrenaline that's been keeping me going since dinner finally crashes, leaving me hollow. Hey. Dante's voice is soft. He's moved his chair closer to mine, close enough that I can see the concern in his dark eyes. You okay? No, I admit. I'm terrified. What if we can't prove the work is mine? What if they actually manage to steal everything I've worked for? That's not going to happen. You don't know that. Yes, I do. His hands frame my face, forcing me to look at him. Because I know you, Maya. I've seen your passion, your brilliance, the way you light up when you talk about your work. That kind of authentic innovation can't be faked. But what if, no what ifs. His thumbs trace along my cheekbones, and my breath catches. We're going to fight this, and we're going to win, together. The word together does something to my insides. I've been alone for so long, fighting for my dreams, scraping together funding, believing in my work when nobody else did. Having someone stand beside me, someone who believes in what I'm trying to build. It's overwhelming. Why? I whisper. Why are you doing this? You barely know me. I know enough. His voice drops to that low, intimate tone that makes my pulse skip. I know you're brilliant and brave and completely unaware of how incredible you are. I know you see the same future I do, and you're willing to risk everything to make it happen. That's professional admiration. Is it? His eyes search mine. Is that what this is? The air between us shifts, charged with something electric and dangerous. We're sitting so close I can feel the warmth radiating from his skin, can see the gold flecks in his dark eyes. His hands are still cradling my face, his thumbs still tracing those maddening patterns on my skin. Dante. I start to say, but I don't know what comes after his name. Tell me to stop, he says quietly, leaning closer. Tell me this is just business, and I'll back off. I should. Every rational part of my brain is screaming at me to maintain professional boundaries, to not complicate this partnership with attraction and want and all the messy emotions I can see building in his eyes. But when I look at him, really look at him, I don't see the arrogant billionaire I thought he was yesterday. I see someone who defended me in front of strangers, who dropped everything to help me fight for my life's work, who looks at me like I'm something precious and rare. Instead of telling him to stop, I lean forward and kiss him. It's soft at first, tentative, like we're both testing the waters. But the moment our lips meet, something ignites between us. He makes a low sound in the back of his throat and pulls me closer, his hand sliding into my hair. I can taste wine on his lips, can smell that intoxicating cologne that's been driving me crazy since yesterday. The kiss deepens, becomes hungrier, more desperate. I thread my fingers through his hair, messing it up completely, and he groans against my mouth. His hands map the curve of my waist, the line of my spine, like he's memorizing every inch of me. Maya, he breathes against my lips, and my name sounds like a prayer. We break apart, both breathing hard. His hair is completely wrecked from my fingers, his lips swollen from kissing, and he looks absolutely devastating. This is crazy, I whisper, echoing what I said at dinner. Completely insane, he agrees, but he's smiling. I don't care. We just became business partners. This could complicate everything. Or it could make everything better. He touches my face again, gentle and reverent. I've never felt anything like this before, Maya. Have you? I shake my head, because it's true. I've had relationships before, but nothing that felt like this, like standing on the edge of a cliff, exhilarated and terrified in equal measure. Then maybe we should stop thinking so much and see what happens, he says. Before I can respond, he kisses me again. This time there's nothing tentative about it. It's hungry and demanding and full of promise. I lose myself in the sensation of his mouth on mine, his hands tangling in my hair, the way he holds me like I'm something infinitely precious. When we break apart again, we're both shaking. Stay, he says simply. Stay with me tonight. The smart thing would be to go home, to process everything that's happened, to maintain some semblance of professional distance. But I'm tired of being smart. I'm tired of being careful and cautious and always thinking 3 steps ahead. Okay, I whisper. His smile is brilliant. Yeah? Yeah. He stands and offers me his hand. I take it, letting him pull me to my feet and lead me toward what I assume is his bedroom. But he stops at the windows instead, pulling me into his arms as we look out at the city lights spread below us. Beautiful, he murmurs, but when I look at him, he's not looking at the view, he's looking at me. Dante. I know this is happening fast, he says, his arms tightening around me. I know we should probably slow down, be sensible, think this through. But I don't want to. I want to be reckless with you. I want to see where this leads. His honesty undoes me completely. I turn in his arms so I'm facing him, and the intensity in his dark eyes takes my breath away. Show me, I whisper. He doesn't need to be asked twice. His mouth finds mine again, but this kiss is different, slower, deeper, full of intent. His hands explore the curve of my waist, the small of my back, the sensitive spot where my neck meets my shoulder. Every touch sends electricity through my veins, making me gasp against his lips. You're so beautiful, he murmurs, pressing kisses along my jawline. So incredible. I've never felt beautiful or incredible, but the way he touches me, like I'm made of something precious and rare, makes me believe it might be true. We move together toward his bedroom, stopping every few steps to kiss, to touch, to whisper soft words against each other's skin. By the time we reach his bed, we're both breathless with want. What happens next is tender and passionate and perfect in ways I never imagined possible. He worships every inch of my skin like it's sacred, makes me feel cherished and desired and completely alive. When I fall asleep in his arms hours later, I feel safe for the first time in years. I wake up to sunlight streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows and the smell of coffee. For a moment, I'm disoriented. This isn't my tiny apartment with its broken blinds and noisy neighbors. Then I remember, Dante's penthouse. The patent lawsuit. Last night. Heat floods my cheeks as memories of what we did together come rushing back. The way he touched me, the sounds he made when I kissed his throat, the way he whispered my name like it was something holy. Good morning, beautiful. I turn to find Dante standing in the doorway with 2 cups of coffee, wearing nothing but pajama pants that sit low on his hips. His hair is messed up from sleep, there's stubble on his jaw, and he looks absolutely gorgeous. Morning, I manage, suddenly very aware that I'm wearing nothing but his shirt from yesterday. He sets the coffee on the nightstand and sits on the edge of the bed, his eyes soft with affection. How did you sleep? Better than I have in months, I admit. Good. He leans down and kisses me, soft and sweet. I was thinking we could spend the morning gathering your research materials, then meet with Victoria this afternoon to prep for Monday's hearing. The mention of the lawsuit brings reality crashing back. For a few blissful hours, I'd forgotten about the threat to everything I've worked for. Hey. Dante's fingers tilt my chin up. What's wrong? Just thinking about Monday. What if we lose? We won't. But if we do? Maya. His voice is firm but gentle. Look at me. We are not going to lose. You created something extraordinary, and we're going to prove it. But even if the worst happens, even if somehow we can't protect your current patents, you still have the most brilliant mind I've ever encountered. You'll create something else, something even better. You really believe that? I know it. He cups my face in his hands. You're unstoppable, Maya Tanaka. With or without me. I prefer with, I whisper, and his smile lights up the entire room. Good. Because I'm not going anywhere. The rest of the weekend passes in a blur of preparation. We spend Saturday at my apartment, gathering every scrap of documentation related to my battery research. Dante helps me organize lab notes, photograph prototypes, and compile email chains that prove the evolution of my work over the past 5 years. It's strange having him in my tiny space, this man who probably spends more on suits than I pay in rent, sitting cross-legged on my futon and carefully cataloging my research like it's the most important thing in the world. Which, to him, it apparently is. This is incredible, he says, looking at my earliest sketches. You can see the progression of ideas, how each iteration builds on the last. This is going to demolish their case. Sunday is spent with the legal team, preparing for every possible argument Titan Industries might make. Victoria grills me on technical specifications, timeline details, and the inspiration behind key innovations. It's exhausting, but by evening, I feel ready. As ready as someone can be when their entire future hangs in the balance. You're going to be brilliant tomorrow, Dante says as we sit on his couch, my head on his shoulder and his arms around me. They won't know what hit them. I hope so. I know so. He presses a kiss to the top of my head. But Maya, I need to tell you something. Something in his tone makes me sit up. What? My father called this afternoon. He knows about the lawsuit, news travels fast in our industry, and he wants to meet with you. My heart stops. Meet with me? Why? Because he's finally starting to understand that the future of luxury cars is electric, and he wants to discuss a formal partnership with Rossini Motors. I stare at him. Are you serious? Completely serious. If we win tomorrow, when we win tomorrow, he wants to offer you a development contract. Full funding for your next generation of battery technology, manufacturing partnerships, global distribution. It's everything I've dreamed of. More than I've dreamed of. That's incredible. It is. But he doesn't look as excited as he should. There's just one catch. What kind of catch? Dante is quiet for a long moment, his jaw tight. He wants to meet with you alone. No lawyers, no advisors, no. He meets my eyes. No me. Why? Because he wants to make sure you're serious about the business side of things. That you're not just. He trails off, looking uncomfortable. Not just what? Not just involved with me for the money or the connections. The words hit me like a slap. He thinks I'm using you? He thinks I'm being naive, that a smart, beautiful woman might say whatever she needs to say to secure funding for her company. I pull away from him, anger flaring hot in my chest. And what do you think? I think my father is a suspicious old man who's never been wrong about business but has terrible judgment about people. Dante reaches for me, but I stand up, pacing to the windows. Maya, you have to understand, he's seen men in our family make stupid decisions because of beautiful women. He's just trying to protect the company. By insulting me. By being cautious. I whirl to face him. Do you know what this sounds like? It sounds like he thinks I seduced you to get access to your family's money. That's not, it is exactly what he thinks. I wrap my arms around myself, suddenly cold. And maybe part of you thinks it too. No. Dante stands, his expression fierce. Absolutely not. I know you, Maya. I know your integrity, your passion, your brilliance. You're not capable of that kind of manipulation. But you'll let him think it. I'll let him meet with you because it's good business, because a partnership with Rossini Motors could change everything for you. He steps closer. But Maya, you have to know that what happened between us has nothing to do with business. What we have is real. I want to believe him. God, I want to believe him so badly it hurts. But the doubt is there now, planted by his father's suspicions and watered by my own insecurities. Is it? I ask quietly. Or is it just convenient, the brilliant inventor and the heir to a car empire, joining forces to change the world? You think I'm that calculating? I think you're a businessman first, just like your father. The words hang between us like a wall. Dante's face goes very still, and I immediately regret the accusation. But it's too late to take it back. If that's what you really think, he says quietly, then maybe my father's right to want to meet with you alone. I feel like he slapped me. Fine, set up the meeting. Fine. We stare at each other across his living room, both hurt and angry and too proud to back down. All the warmth and connection from the past 2 days seems to evaporate, leaving behind the cold reality of business and family expectations and the vast differences in our backgrounds. I should go, I say finally. Maya, I need to prepare for tomorrow. Alone. He doesn't try to stop me as I gather my things and head for the door. But just as I'm about to leave, his voice stops me. For what it's worth, he says, not looking at me, I've never felt about anyone the way I feel about you. Business partnership or no business partnership. I want to turn around. I want to run back to him and apologize and spend the night wrapped in his arms again. Instead, I force myself to keep walking. We'll see, I say, and close the door behind me. As the elevator descends toward the lobby, I catch my reflection in the polished metal doors. I look exactly like what I am, a woman who got in over her head with a man way out of her league. Tomorrow I'll fight for my patents. And after that, I'll meet with Dante's father and prove that I'm serious about business. Even if it means proving that what Dante and I have isn't serious at all. The federal courthouse feels like a mausoleum, all marble columns and echoing footsteps that seem to whisper about the dreams that have died within these walls. I sit at the plaintiff's table in my best suit, hands folded to hide their shaking, trying to project confidence I don't feel. Victoria Sterling looks like she was born for this moment. Her silver hair is pulled back in a severe bun, her black suit is immaculate, and her expression could freeze hellfire. She's arranged our evidence with military precision, years of my research notes, prototype photos, email chains, and witness testimonies that paint a clear picture of my work's evolution. Across the aisle, Titan Industries has assembled what looks like a small army. 6 lawyers in identical navy suits, led by a man who looks like he eats startups for breakfast and picks his teeth with their bones. I don't look at Dante. He's sitting in the gallery behind me, and I can feel his presence like heat against my back, but I refuse to turn around. The hurt from last night is still too fresh, the doubt still too sharp. All rise for the Honorable Judge Patricia Wong. The hearing begins with opening statements. Victoria is brilliant, she lays out our case with surgical precision, walking the judge through every piece of evidence that proves my battery technology is my own creation. She's compelling, authoritative, and completely convinced of our victory. Then Titan's lead counsel stands up, and my blood turns to ice. Your Honor, this case isn't about innovative engineering, it's about corporate espionage and theft of intellectual property. 3 years ago, Titan Industries began developing revolutionary battery technology under the direction of our chief scientist, Dr. Adrian Phillips. Ms. Tanaka, through methods we're still investigating, gained access to our proprietary research and passed it off as her own work. The words hit me like physical blows. corporate espionage, theft. I've never heard of Dr. Adrian Phillips in my life. Victoria's objections ring out sharp and clear, but I barely hear them. I'm too busy watching Titan's lawyer pull out document after document, research notes that look remarkably similar to mine, but dated months earlier. Email exchanges about battery chemistry that mirror conversations I had with my own suppliers. Even sketches that could have been torn from my own lab notebook. If I may direct the court's attention to Exhibit A, Titan's lawyer continues smoothly. Dr. Phillips' initial concept sketches, dated 18 months before Ms. Tanaka claims to have begun her research. My heart stops. The sketches are nearly identical to my own early drawings, not exact copies, but close enough to suggest either incredible coincidence or deliberate plagiarism. And according to their timestamps, they predate my work by over a year. This is impossible, I whisper to Victoria. I know, she whispers back, but I can see the concern in her eyes. They're good. Better than we anticipated. The hearing continues for 3 agonizing hours. Titan presents witness after witness, employees who swear they saw Dr. Phillips working on battery designs years ago, suppliers who claim they were contacted about materials long before I ever placed my orders, university researchers who allegedly collaborated on early prototypes. It's a masterpiece of fabrication, and it's working. I can see it in Judge Wong's expression, the way she's taking notes, the questions she's asking. The doubt is creeping in. When Victoria calls me to testify, my legs feel like water. I walk to the witness stand on unsteady feet, acutely aware of every eye in the courtroom watching me. Including Dante's. Ms. Tanaka, Victoria begins, her voice warm and encouraging. Can you tell the court about the inspiration for your battery technology? I take a deep breath and find my center. This is my story. My truth. No one can take that from me. 5 years ago, I was working on my master's thesis in electrical engineering when I became frustrated with the limitations of existing battery technology. Electric vehicles had so much potential, but they were being held back by batteries that were too heavy, too slow to charge, and too unreliable in extreme temperatures. I tell them about the late nights in the lab, the failed experiments, the breakthrough moment when I realized that combining lithium with an aluminum composite matrix could solve multiple problems simultaneously. I describe the evolution of my designs, the prototypes I built with my own hands, the testing I did in my garage because I couldn't afford proper lab space. This technology isn't just my work, I say, looking directly at Judge Wong. It's my passion, my vision, my contribution to solving the climate crisis. I've lived and breathed these batteries for 5 years. I know every circuit, every chemical reaction, every limitation and possibility. Victoria walks me through the technical specifications, the manufacturing processes, the innovations that make my technology unique. I answer every question with confidence born of absolute knowledge. This is mine. No matter what fabricated documents Titan Industries produces, they can't fake the deep understanding that comes from creating something with your own mind and hands. But when Titan's lawyer cross-examines me, the confidence starts to crack. Ms. Tanaka, have you ever met Dr. Adrian Phillips? No, I haven't. Have you ever been to Titan Industries' research facility in Palo Alto? No. Have you ever had access to our proprietary research databases? Of course not. Then how do you explain the remarkable similarities between your work and Dr. Phillips' earlier research? I can't explain fabricated evidence, I snap, and immediately regret the outburst. Fabricated? The lawyer raises an eyebrow. Your Honor, we have multiple witnesses, documented research trails, and financial records spanning 3 years. If this evidence is fabricated, as Ms. Tanaka claims, then we're looking at a conspiracy involving dozens of people and millions of dollars in fraudulent documentation. He makes it sound so reasonable. So logical. As if the only possible explanation is that I'm lying. The hearing ends without a ruling. Judge Wong will review the evidence and issue her decision within 48 hours. 48 hours to determine whether my life's work belongs to me or to a corporation that wants to bury it. I walk out of the courthouse feeling hollow. Victoria tries to sound optimistic, talking about appeals and additional evidence, but I can see the worry in her eyes. Titan's case was stronger than any of us expected. Dante catches up with me on the courthouse steps. Maya, wait. I don't want to stop. I don't want to have this conversation when I'm already raw and bleeding from the hearing. But he catches my arm gently, and the familiar touch makes me turn around despite myself. You were incredible in there, he says, his dark eyes intense with emotion. Passionate, brilliant, absolutely convincing. Not convincing enough, apparently. The judge is just being thorough. Victoria thinks we might lose, I interrupt. I could see it in her face. Titan's case is too polished, too complete. They've thought of everything. Dante steps closer, lowering his voice. Then we'll appeal. We'll take this all the way to the Supreme Court if we have to. With what money? Even with your help, this is already costing. I don't care what it costs. Well, I do. The words come out sharper than I intended. I care that I'm dependent on your family's money to prove my own work belongs to me. I care that people will always wonder if I earned my success or if I just found the right man to fund it. Dante's face goes very still. Is that what you really think? That this is about money? Isn't it? I pull away from him. Your father wants to meet with me alone to make sure I'm not using you. Your legal team is funding this case because you asked them to. Even if we win, everyone will assume I succeeded because I had a Rossini backing me. That's not true. It's completely true. And you know what the worst part is? Part of me is starting to wonder if they're right. The words hang between us like a confession. Dante stares at me, hurt flickering across his features. You think you're using me? I think the timing is awfully convenient. I crash into your life just when I need funding and legal help, and suddenly I'm sleeping with someone who can solve all my problems. Is that what Saturday night was to you? Problem solving? His voice is quiet, but I can hear the pain underneath. It matches the ache in my own chest. I don't know, I whisper. I don't know anything anymore. Dante is silent for a long moment, studying my face like he's trying to memorize it. When he speaks, his voice is carefully controlled. My father wants to meet with you tomorrow at 2 o'clock. His office at Rossini Motors. If you still want the partnership. Do you want me to take the meeting? I want you to do whatever you think is right for your career. The careful distance in his tone cuts deeper than anger would have. This is what happens when business and personal feelings collide, everything gets twisted and complicated and painful. Okay, I say finally. I'll meet with him. Okay. We stand there on the courthouse steps, two people who were wrapped in each other's arms just days ago, now feeling like strangers. The space between us might as well be an ocean. Maya, Dante says as I start to walk away. Yeah? For what it's worth, I know the difference between someone using me for money and someone who makes me want to be better than I am. You're the latter. I want to believe him. God, I want to believe him so badly it physically hurts. But doubt is a poison, and once it's in your system, it's almost impossible to purge. I'll see you around, I say instead, and walk away before he can see me cry. That night, I sit in my tiny apartment staring at my laptop screen. I pulled up every piece of research I have, every note and sketch and prototype photo, looking for something, anything, that could prove definitively that my work came first. But doubt makes everything look different. When I look at my early sketches now, I find myself wondering if they're really as original as I thought. When I read through my research notes, I question whether my innovations are truly revolutionary or just incremental improvements on existing technology. This is what Titan Industries has done to me. They've made me doubt my own genius. My phone buzzes with a text from an unknown number. Saw the news about your legal troubles. Interesting timing, considering your new partnership with the Rossini family. A friend. Ice runs through my veins. Someone is watching. Someone knows about Dante and me, about the business partnership, about the timing of everything. Another text arrives before I can process the first one. Some people might wonder if a smart woman would crash into the right car on purpose. Just saying. I stare at the messages, my hands shaking. Someone thinks I planned the crash. Someone believes I deliberately targeted Dante as a way to access his family's resources. The accusation is so ridiculous it would be laughable if it weren't so terrifying. But in light of everything that's happened, the patent theft, the suspicious timing, my sudden relationship with someone who could solve all my problems, I can see how it might look to an outsider. My phone rings. Dante's name appears on the screen, and for a moment I'm tempted to answer. To tell him about the texts, to hear his voice promising that everything will be okay. Instead, I let it go to voicemail. When I finally listen to the message hours later, his voice is tired and strained. Maya, it's me. I know you probably don't want to talk right now, but I need you to know something. I've been thinking about what you said today, about the timing and the money and whether people will question your success. And you're right, some people will always look for reasons to diminish what you've accomplished. But I also know that you're the most brilliant, most genuine person I've ever met. Whatever happens with the lawsuit, whatever happens with my father's offer, whatever happens between us. Your talent is real. Your innovations are real. Don't let anyone, including me, make you doubt that. I play the message 3 times, tears streaming down my face. Part of me wants to call him back, to apologize for the things I said, to admit that I'm scared and confused and falling for him so hard it terrifies me. But the other part, the part that's spent years fighting for recognition in a male-dominated industry, the part that's tired of having to prove herself over and over again, that part stays silent. Because maybe it's better this way. Maybe it's better to succeed or fail on my own merits, without the complication of a relationship with someone whose family name could overshadow my achievements, even if it means giving up the best thing that's ever happened to me. The next morning brings news that makes everything worse. Judge Wong has reached a decision, and the preliminary hearing has been moved up to this afternoon. Which means I'll be fighting for my patents and meeting with Dante's father on the same day. I dress carefully in my most professional outfit, a black suit that makes me look competent and serious, hair pulled back in a style that says I mean business. I need all the armor I can get for what's coming. The courthouse is packed when I arrive. Word has gotten out about the case, and there are reporters and industry observers filling the gallery. I catch sight of Dante in the crowd, but he's not looking at me. His attention is focused on his phone, his expression grim. Victoria meets me at our table, and I can tell immediately that the news isn't good. The judge is ruling in favor of a temporary injunction, she says quietly. Until the full patent dispute can be resolved, you're prohibited from manufacturing, licensing, or commercializing your battery technology. What does that mean? It means they've essentially frozen your work until we can prove ownership. No investors, no partnerships, no production deals. I feel like the ground has dropped out from under me. For how long? Could be months, could be years, depending on how many appeals they file. Judge Wong enters, and the hearing begins. Her ruling is clinical, methodical, and devastating. While she acknowledges that there are questions about the authenticity of Titan's evidence, she also notes that the similarities between their documentation and mine are too significant to ignore. The temporary injunction stands. My life's work is officially in legal limbo. I walk out of the courthouse in a daze. Reporters shout questions that I don't answer. Camera flashes pop like tiny explosions. Someone asks if it's true that I'm romantically involved with Dante Rossini, and I'm so stunned by the question that I almost trip. How do they know about us? Who told them? I make it to my car before the tears start. 5 years of work, gone. My dreams of changing the world, on hold indefinitely. My reputation in the industry, forever tainted by accusations of theft. My phone buzzes with another text from the unknown number. Told you the timing was interesting. Maybe next time you should be more careful about who you climb into bed with. I stare at the message, pieces clicking into place. Someone has been watching me, documenting my relationship with Dante, probably feeding information to the press. The question is why? Unless. A terrible suspicion begins to form in my mind. What if this isn't random? What if someone orchestrated this entire situation, the patent theft, the media attention, the timing of everything? What if someone wanted to destroy my career and my relationship with Dante in one coordinated attack? I think about Dante's phone call yesterday, his expression in court today, the way he's been so careful to maintain distance. What if he knows something I don't? What if his family is involved in this somehow? The doubt that's been poisoning my thoughts for days suddenly crystallizes into something sharper and more dangerous: suspicion. I have 2 hours until my meeting with Lorenzo Rossini. 2 hours to decide whether I'm walking into a business opportunity or a trap. My phone rings. Dante's name on the screen. This time, I answer. Maya, thank God. Are you okay? I saw what happened in court, and then the reporters. How did they know? I interrupt. How did the reporters know about us? Silence on the other end of the line. Dante. How did they know? I don't know, he says finally, but Maya, we need to talk. There are things about my family, about this situation, that you don't understand. Then explain them to me. Not over the phone. Meet me before you see my father. Please. I don't think that's a good idea. Maya, listen to me. My father. He's not just interested in your technology. There are politics involved, family pressures, things that could affect. Could affect what? Your inheritance? Your position in the company? That's not what I meant. Isn't it? The suspicion is growing stronger now, fed by days of doubt and confusion. Tell me the truth, Dante. Did you know this was going to happen? The lawsuit, the media attention, all of it? Of course not. How could you even think? Because the timing is too perfect. I crash into you, we have this whirlwind romance, your family suddenly wants to partner with me, and then everything falls apart in the most public way possible. It's like someone wrote a script. You think I planned this? You think I'm that manipulative? I think you're a businessman first, just like your father, and I think maybe I was naive to believe that someone like you could actually care about someone like me. The words come out harsher than I intended, but once they're out there, I can't take them back. Someone like me? His voice is dangerously quiet. What exactly does that mean? Rich. Powerful. Used to getting what you want without having to work for it. And someone like you? Someone who actually earned everything she has. Someone who doesn't come from money or connections or family names that open doors. I see. His tone has gone completely cold. So this was never about us. This was about class warfare. Poor girl versus rich boy. Maybe it was. Maybe that's all it could ever be. Fine. The word cuts through me like a blade. Then you should know that my father's offer stands regardless of what happens between us. The meeting is at 2 o'clock. Show up or don't, it's your choice. Dante. But he's already hung up. I sit in my car in the courthouse parking lot, shaking with anger and hurt and the terrible realization that I may have just destroyed the best thing in my life based on nothing more than fear and suspicion. But it's too late now. The words have been said, the damage has been done. In 2 hours, I'll sit across from Lorenzo Rossini and try to salvage something from the wreckage of this week. I'll present myself as a serious businesswoman who deserves respect and partnership. Even if it means pretending that his son didn't break my heart. Even if it means pretending that I didn't break his first. The Rossini Motors headquarters in San Francisco is everything I expected, sleek glass and steel rising into the sky like a monument to automotive excellence. The lobby showcases vintage Ferraris and Maseratis alongside concept cars that look like they're from the future, all arranged with the kind of artistic precision that screams money and taste. I'm early for my 2 o'clock meeting with Lorenzo Rossini, but I need the extra time to compose myself. The phone call with Dante is still echoing in my head, along with the devastation of this morning's court ruling. Everything I've worked for is hanging by a thread, and I'm about to walk into a room where I'll have to prove my worth to a man who already suspects the worst about me. Ms. Tanaka? A perfectly polished assistant appears at my elbow. Mr. Rossini will see you now. I follow her through corridors lined with automotive art and awards, past conference rooms where serious-looking men in expensive suits discuss what I assume are million-dollar deals. This is Dante's world, one of power and legacy and expectations I could never fully understand. Lorenzo Rossini's office is a masterpiece of understated luxury. Floor-to-ceiling windows offer a panoramic view of the bay, while carefully curated automotive memorabilia tells the story of 3 generations of Italian engineering excellence. The man himself stands behind a massive mahogany desk, and the family resemblance to Dante is unmistakable, the same dark eyes, the same aristocratic bone structure, the same aura of controlled power. Ms. Tanaka. His voice carries only a trace of accent, refined by decades of international business. Please, sit. I take the offered chair, keeping my back straight and my expression neutral. This is a negotiation, nothing more. I can't let my emotions, or my complicated feelings about his son, interfere with what could be the most important meeting of my career. I'll be direct, Lorenzo says, settling behind his desk. Your battery technology is impressive. Revolutionary, even. Under different circumstances, Rossini Motors would be very interested in a partnership. Under different circumstances? Before the legal troubles. Before the media attention. Before. He pauses, studying my face. Before my son became involved. Heat rises in my cheeks, but I force my voice to remain steady. My personal life and my professional capabilities are separate matters, Mr. Rossini. Are they? He leans back in his chair, fingers steepled. In my experience, young women who become close to wealthy men often have complicated motivations. The accusation hangs between us like a challenge. Part of me wants to defend myself, to explain that what happened between Dante and me was real and spontaneous and had nothing to do with business calculations. But another part, the part that's tired of having to justify my every move, stays silent. I'm here to discuss a business proposition, I say finally. Nothing else. Good. Then you won't mind answering a few questions about the timing of your relationship with my son. Actually, I would mind. My personal relationships aren't relevant to this discussion. Lorenzo's eyebrows rise slightly, as if he's surprised by my refusal to be intimidated. Everything is relevant when it comes to protecting my family's business interests. Then perhaps you should ask your son these questions instead of interrogating me. I did ask him. He seems to believe you're some kind of misunderstood genius who deserves his unwavering loyalty. Lorenzo's tone makes it clear what he thinks of that assessment. But I've been in business for 30 years, Ms. Tanaka. I've seen brilliant people make foolish decisions because of pretty faces and romantic notions. The dismissive way he says pretty faces makes my blood boil. This is exactly what I was afraid of, being reduced to nothing more than a potential distraction for his precious heir. Let me save us both some time, I say, standing up. I can see that you're not interested in a genuine partnership. You're interested in determining whether I'm a gold digger or just naive. Either way, you've made up your mind about me before I even walked through your door. Sit down, Ms. Tanaka. No, thank you. I have better things to do than listen to thinly veiled accusations about my character. Such as what? Fighting a lawsuit you're likely to lose? Watching your career crumble while you're prohibited from commercializing your own work? The words hit their target, but I refuse to flinch, such as finding investors who actually believe in innovation instead of just protecting their family dynasties. I'm halfway to the door when his voice stops me. $5 million. I turn around slowly. Excuse me? $5 million for exclusive licensing rights to your battery technology, plus a position as head of our new electric vehicle division. Full autonomy over research and development, unlimited budget for your projects, and a partnership contract that makes you one of the highest-paid engineers in the industry. I stare at him, trying to process what he just said. Why? Because despite your questionable judgment in personal matters, your technology is exactly what this company needs to stay competitive in the next decade. And Dante? What about him? Is his involvement a condition of this offer? Lorenzo is quiet for a long moment, studying my face with those sharp dark eyes that remind me so painfully of his son. That depends. On what? On whether you can convince me that you care about him for the right reasons. I feel like Alice falling down the rabbit hole. Nothing about this conversation is going the way I expected. I thought you wanted me to stay away from him. I want to understand your motivations. There's a difference. My motivations are none of your business. They are when they affect my son's happiness and my company's future. Lorenzo stands, moving to the windows that overlook the bay. Dante has never brought a woman to meet the family. He's never spoken about anyone the way he speaks about you. He's never looked as miserable as he did this morning when he told me you two had argued. The admission catches me off guard. He told you we argued? He told me you think he's using you for business reasons. He also told me that he's in love with you and doesn't know how to convince you that his feelings are genuine. My heart stops. He said he loves me? Among other things. Most of which were unprintable. Lorenzo turns back to face me, and there's something almost gentle in his expression. My son is many things, Ms. Tanaka, but he's not a liar. If he says he cares about you, then he cares about you. The question is whether you feel the same way. I sink back into my chair, overwhelmed by the revelation. Dante loves me. Despite everything that's happened, despite the terrible things I said to him, he loves me. I do, I whisper. I love him too. But everything got so complicated, and I started to doubt. Doubt is normal when you're risking your heart, Lorenzo says quietly. But destroying something good because you're afraid it might be too good to be true? That's just foolish. Are you giving me relationship advice? I'm giving you a father's perspective. I've watched my son build walls around his heart for years, convinced that anyone who got close to him was only interested in his money or his connections. You're the first person who's ever made him want to tear those walls down. I feel tears prick at my eyes. I hurt him. The things I said can be forgiven if you're willing to fight for what you want. What about the business partnership? Is that still on the table? The partnership was always about your technology, not your relationship with my son. Although. He pauses, a small smile playing at the corners of his mouth. I have to admit, having a daughter-in-law who's brilliant enough to revolutionize our entire industry would be rather convenient. Daughter-in-law? I stare at him. We're not even, we haven't. Yet, Lorenzo says simply, but if you're both as stubborn and passionate as you appear to be, I suspect it's only a matter of time. Before I can respond, there's a commotion in the hallway outside. Raised voices, rapid Italian, what sounds like someone arguing with security. Lorenzo frowns and moves toward his office door. Mi scusi, Mr. Rossini, his assistant's voice comes through the intercom, sounding flustered. Your son is here, and he's insisting on seeing you immediately. Send him in, Lorenzo says, but the door is already opening. Dante strides into the office like a man on a mission. His hair is disheveled, his tie is loose, and there's a wild look in his eyes that makes my heart race. He's carrying something, a tablet or small computer, and he barely glances at his father before his gaze locks on mine. Maya, he says, and my name sounds like a prayer. Thank God you're still here. Dante, what are you? I know who's behind the patent theft, he says, setting the tablet down on his father's desk. And I know how to prove your work came first. I stand up so quickly I nearly knock over my chair. What are you talking about? Your mysterious Dr. Adrian Phillips? He doesn't exist. Never has. Titan Industries created him as a front for their patent theft operation. Dante's fingers fly across the tablet screen, pulling up documents and files. I've spent the last 6 hours with a private investigator, tracing financial records and digital footprints. How did you? Because I wasn't going to let them destroy you, he says fiercely. I wasn't going to let them steal your life's work or make you doubt your own genius. Lorenzo moves closer to examine the tablet screen. These bank records. They show payments to fabrication companies? backdated documents, falsified timestamps, even fake employee records. The whole thing is a house of cards. Dante looks at me, his dark eyes blazing with determination. Maya, they didn't just try to steal your patents. They tried to destroy your reputation, your confidence, everything you built. But we have them now. I stare at the evidence on the screen, hardly daring to believe what I'm seeing. Financial records showing payments for document fabrication, email chains discussing the best way to neutralize the Tanaka threat. Even recordings of phone calls where Titan executives discuss their plan to tie me up in legal battles until I run out of money to fight. This is incredible, I whisper. But how did you get access to all this? Let's just say that Rossini Motors has resources that most individual inventors don't, Lorenzo says dryly. And that my son can be very persuasive when he's motivated. Motivated? Dante steps closer to me, close enough that I can see the exhaustion and determination etched in his features. Maya, I would move heaven and earth to protect you. I would bankrupt myself, burn every bridge, destroy every relationship if it meant proving that you're the brilliant, incredible woman I know you are. Dante. I know you think I'm using you for business reasons. I know you think our timing was suspicious or that I have some ulterior motive. His voice drops to that low, intimate tone that makes my knees weak. But I need you to understand something. I fell in love with you the moment you climbed out of that ridiculous prototype car and started yelling at me about carbon footprints. Not because of your technology, not because of business opportunities, but because you were the most passionate, fearless, brilliant person I'd ever met. My eyes fill with tears. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for the things I said, for doubting you, for... Don't apologize, he says, stepping even closer. Just tell me it's not too late. Tell me we can fix this. I look at him, this incredible man who spent hours investigating corporate fraud just to clear my name, who's looking at me like I'm his entire world, and I realize how foolish I've been. Fear made me push away the best thing that ever happened to me. It's not too late, I whisper. His smile is like sunrise. Really? Really? But Dante, I need you to know, I love you too. I've been terrified to admit it because everything happened so fast and I couldn't believe someone like you could really want someone like me, but I love you. I love your brilliant mind and your passion for innovation and the way you defend the people you care about. Someone like me? He cups my face in his hands, thumbs brushing away the tears I didn't realize were falling. Maya, you're the strongest, most incredible person I know. I'm the one who should be amazed that you could want someone like me. Before I can respond, he's kissing me, soft and desperate and full of relief, like we're both breathing again after being underwater. I kiss him back with everything I have, pouring all my love and regret and hope into the connection between us. When we finally break apart, we're both breathless. Well, Lorenzo says dryly from behind his desk, I suppose this answers my questions about your motivations. I feel my cheeks burn, suddenly remembering we're not alone. Mr. Rossini, Call me Lorenzo, he says with a smile that transforms his entire face. And welcome to the family. Family? I look between him and Dante, confused. Dante grins, pulling something out of his jacket pocket. It's a small velvet box, and my heart stops completely. This isn't how I planned to do this, he says, dropping to one knee right there in his father's office. I had this whole elaborate proposal planned out, dinner at the restaurant where we first really talked, maybe a sunset on the bay, definitely somewhere more romantic than a corporate boardroom. Dante. I can barely breathe, but I can't wait another second to ask you this. He opens the box, revealing the most beautiful ring I've ever seen, a brilliant diamond surrounded by smaller stones that catch the light like stars. Maya Tanaka, will you marry me? Will you let me spend the rest of my life proving that what we have is real and beautiful and worth fighting for? I stare down at him, this man who defended me when I couldn't defend myself, who never stopped believing in me even when I stopped believing in myself. Through the office windows, I can see the San Francisco Bay stretching out toward the horizon, full of possibilities and promise. Yes, I whisper, then louder, yes, absolutely yes. He slips the ring onto my finger with shaking hands, then stands and kisses me again while Lorenzo applauds behind us. Now then, Lorenzo says, when we finally come up for air, shall we discuss the business partnership? I believe we have some revolutionary cars to build. 6 months later. The launch party for the Rossini Tanaka electric series is everything I never dared to dream of. The grand ballroom of the Fairmont, the same venue where I gave my first presentation, is packed with journalists, industry leaders, and investors, all here to witness what the automotive press is calling the future of luxury transportation. I stand at the edge of the stage, smoothing down the flowing emerald dress that Dante insisted I buy for tonight. It's beautiful and expensive and makes me feel like someone who belongs in rooms like this. But more importantly, it's the color of his eyes when he looks at me like I'm his entire world. Ready for this? He asks, appearing at my side in a perfectly tailored tuxedo that should be illegal in several states. Ready, I say, though my heart is hammering with excitement. On stage, the prototype that started it all, my revolutionary battery technology combined with Dante's elegant Italian design, sits under spotlights like a jewel. It's sleek and powerful and absolutely gorgeous, with lines that would make poetry weep and an electric drivetrain that can outperform any gas-powered sports car on the market. The patent lawsuit was dismissed 3 months ago when Titan Industries was exposed for fraud. The company dissolved in scandal, and several executives are facing criminal charges. My technology is protected, my reputation is restored, and orders for our electric vehicles are already backlogged for 2 years. But the best part? I designed every circuit, every component, every innovation in partnership with the man I love. We built this together, his vision and mine, his expertise and mine, his dreams and mine intertwining to create something neither of us could have achieved alone. Ladies and gentlemen, the MC announces, please welcome the design team behind the revolutionary Rossini Tanaka electric series, Dante Rossini and Dr. Maya Tanaka Rossini. I still get a thrill hearing my married name. We eloped 3 months ago in a small ceremony in Tuscany, with only Lorenzo and my parents as witnesses. It was perfect, intimate and romantic and completely us. We walk onto the stage together, and the applause is thunderous. Camera flashes pop like tiny explosions, and I can see the excitement on faces throughout the crowd. This is it, the moment we prove that sustainability and luxury aren't mutually exclusive, that the future of transportation is clean and beautiful and revolutionary. 6 months ago, I say into the microphone, my voice steady and confident, I was a graduate student with a crazy idea and a prototype that barely worked. Tonight, that crazy idea is going to change the world. I talk about the technology, the innovations, the future we're building together. Dante discusses the design philosophy, the manufacturing processes, the vision that drove us to create something unprecedented. We present as true partners, intellectually, professionally, and personally. When we unveil the production model, the crowd goes wild. Orders are placed before we even finish the presentation. Industry leaders line up to discuss partnerships and licensing deals. It's everything we dreamed of and more. Later, when the crowds have dispersed and the journalists have filed their stories, Dante and I stand alone on the hotel's rooftop terrace, looking out at the city lights spread below us like diamonds on black velvet. So, he says, pulling me into his arms, how does it feel to change the world? Like the beginning, I say, settling against his chest where I fit perfectly. Like we're just getting started. Good thing I plan to spend the next 50 years or so helping you revolutionize every industry we can get our hands on. Only 50 years? Well, we'll see how we feel after that. Maybe we'll want to retire and let someone else save the planet. I laugh, tilting my head back to look at him. The love in his dark eyes still takes my breath away, even after all these months. I love you, Maya Rossini, he says softly. I love you too, Dante Rossini. Even if you did crash into my life and turn everything upside down. Hey, you crashed into me, remember? Details, I say, standing on my toes to kiss him. As our lips meet under the San Francisco stars, I think about the journey that brought us here, the crash that started it all, the misunderstandings that almost tore us apart, the trust and love that ultimately brought us back together. It's been messy and complicated and absolutely perfect. Behind us, through the ballroom windows, I can see our car displayed under the spotlights, a testament to what two people can build when they believe in each other and refuse to give up on their dreams. The future is electric, sustainable, and brilliant. And it's ours to claim together. Thank you for staying tuned and listening till the end. If you enjoy this story, kindly leave a comment on your favorite part and don't forget to subscribe.